Hello.
Okay, so we're live. We haven't actually shared this. What did I do?
This is fine.
So we're currently live.
We are.
But we don't. Links.
Sorry. Links.
YouTube page, copy, and that's what we want to share. Great.
We should have done. So good.
We're amazing at this. We're professionals. Happy birthday. Happy 8 years of making shit up as we go.
So profesh.
Amazing. I love this.
I love this for us. And then we shared a link, and now we can go to the YouTube.
We can go to the link.
Okay. Wrong. Doing all of the wrong stuff.
Wrong. Everything
Everything
is wrong. Wow. Yeah.
While we're live.
I mean, it's fine right now because nobody's there, but if we share this link later, anybody who's watching it after this time, it's gonna be like, wow, why?
Why did this happen?
Why?
Let's skip ahead.
We should put a note in the video description. Fast forward 5 minutes because American Horror Story.
I absolutely refuse.
We gotta.
I know.
Lori says we gotta do American Horror Story.
I'm sorry, Lori. I love you. I can't. I'm such a chicken. All right, let's get our faces out of here. To the other screen. Where is the other? Some of that.
What are you doing?
It's better to see ourselves here because it's not on a delay, but I still want to see the chat.
Okay. All right.
Yeah?
All right. Yeah, we're so seldom in the same place.
Yes.
This is really exciting. It's a really big moment.
I don't know whether to look here or here.
I see your beautiful face, okay? Yeah. So we've been doing this for 8 years, and that's it. That's the whole.
Wild.
That's the whole sentence.
Yeah, it's wild. That this has been going on for 8 years, and also that the way that the anniversary of the site lines up, we're always together around the same time. So it's always really exciting to get to celebrate the thing, but also see your face.
Also see my friend's face. I enjoy that immensely. Oh wait, okay, hold on. I didn't share it to the.
Oh yeah, and on SnarkSquad.
I retweeted it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We're just getting our lives together.
Yeah, now and also always. That's a whole thing.
Oh my god, we should read our star chart.
Oh. She got co-star today. So we were together because we went to Coachella this weekend. And but we're in LA now at a hotel. We both fly out tomorrow. And on the 2-hour drive from the I'm gonna stop talking and do this.
Do the thing first.
Just give me 30 seconds. Trying to do multiple things, trying to tell a story, and also write this thing out. It's fine. Link. Meta URL. Paste. Done.
I really hate
Publish.
my face on this. I don't know, man. It's just a lot of face.
It's a lot, yeah. I brought a nice webcam, but it doesn't want to talk to this computer, so that's how it goes. What was I saying?
Star chart.
So it's it's a 2.5 hour drive from the desert to the city, and we pass the time in part by reading co-star's analysis of our friendship. Here, so I once shared a screenshot of my co-star my like friend co-star with some other mutual friends of ours. And my friend was like, "Oh wow, way to put my co-star on blast." So I don't know if this is like meant to be private information, but I'm about to share your star chart.
Well, I brought it up. So
yeah, you brought it up. Okay, so I don't know if you use co-star, but like, look, there's no black boxes. You can't see this. This is useless.
You kind of saw it for a little
There's
bit.
like a brief moment. We have no little black boxes, which are like like the things that are not compatible. Yes. Actually, me and this friend, I think if I cover the thing, you can't see anything. Me and this friend have a bunch of, these black boxes that are
not compatible.
Not compatible.
Not
we shouldn't.
compatible.
Those are things we shouldn't
not be friends.
We shouldn't be friends. But somehow we defy the stars. In defiance of the stars, we make it work. But the stars endorse our friendship.
Yes.
That was
the main point.
Is
that the stars endorse our friendship.
We have a smiley face for moods and emotions, intellect and communication, sex and aggression, and philosophies of life. And then a slanty line face for basic identities, love and pleasure, and sense of responsibility. So
I think we have a pretty equal sense of responsibility. I mean, the reason that this whole thing has worked out for, I guess, as long as it has is because we're pretty chill about, we get super excited about new things. We have a lot of ideas, but then we're also chill with like being like, okay, this is what we actually have time for.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. What the stars have to say about that is my Saturn is in Capricorn, meaning that I struggle with my sense of responsibility, ambition, conservatism, repressed emotions, and obsessions with money and power.
Oh, wow.
Your Saturn is in Sagittarius, meaning that you struggle with restlessness, self-questioning, boredom, and your bluntness. Our struggles are fairly different, but with empathy, we can help each other grow.
I'm going to summarize this star chart for you right now. It's basically like, Maddie, you're so harsh. And then it's like, Nicole, wow, brave, courageous.
Has too many feelings.
Has a lot of feelings.
Happy birthday!
Thanks. Happy birthday, SnarkSquad! Yeah, we're together. That's fun. Hi. We're sheroes.
Don't do American Horror Story. Save ourselves. Thank you, Nick. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I can't. Listen, the reason that I can't is I'm really bad with horror. Like, I can't watch anything that is... No, I can't. Like, it's not fun for me. We also don't ride roller coasters together because that's not fun for me. Like, they're... See, courageous? No. Courageous? No. So American Horror Story is going to be like a solid no. Not even like maybe. No. Sorry.
Yeah, Sabrina was that was like a big ask.
Yeah.
You had to have a bunch of friends over.
I literally had to invite a support system and like draw the shades open and like full light to do the entire thing. So. Yes. We were just watching the episode of Game of Thrones that we missed on Sunday because we were at Coachella, and that was great because I was stressed and we were both sobbing at one point.
Yeah, so again, I had a lot of time in the car, so I was scrolling through Twitter. So there's a bunch of stuff that I got spoiled for. I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna not read Twitter. I'm just gonna sit here in this car. I don't know what else to do with myself when I have hours of unfilled time besides scroll through Twitter. So I got spoiled on some things, and the Brienne scene, I knew it was coming, and I still just started sobbing.
Yeah,
cool, great, amazing.
I cried for that. I cried for Sansa and Theon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another. Oh, I just cried seeing Little Bear Boss with Jorah in the same. They didn't even say anything emotional to each other.
Right. Like that scene was just like, look, they exist together.
Oh, you're right. Tears. Oh man, it was a lot of sobbing.
Yeah. I'm glad we got to be on that emotional journey together.
Yeah, but yeah, my point was kind of like that. I mean, not that that's horror, but that's like my maximum like stressful TV that I can take before it then becomes like too stressful where I'm not enjoying it, and like scary stuff and horror is like in the too stressful that I'm not enjoying it. Realm.
I was just talking to a friend about this in terms of why, like, the spoiler thing, why for certain stuff I enjoy being spoiled because then it makes the experience less stressful. And I understand why for a lot of media, its goal is to stress you out. And,
right.
Like, I get that that's part of what other people are getting out of it, but I understand that, and that there's a level at which this is just stressful and it's not fun. I'm not there's nothing about this experience that I'm happy about. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm just stressed out. And so for certain things, for me at least, the element of okay, I know where we're going makes it not I can actually have fun with it and see how we're getting there instead of just being so anxious that I feel like my heart's going to explode.
That's usually where I am with spoilers, but I was avoiding Twitter for this day. I didn't look at Twitter much. I would scroll past quickly or whatnot because I was afraid that I would see a spoiler that would stress me out, preemptively stress me out, and then I wouldn't be able to watch because I knew it would be coming. It wasn't enough time to read the spoiler. Had I read Sansa's gonna die, then I would be fuck that, I'm not gonna watch that episode. That's a spoiler that's not helping my stress.
Okay.
You see? No?
No, not really. Not really, but Well, we haven't seen how pretty the Antichrist is, though.
No. Stop trying to make this happen. It's not going to happen.
I don't have any real investment if I'm being perfectly honest. But
I did see trailers. I guess Lucifer got picked up on a new network or something.
Okay.
And there were trailers. I have no idea anything about the show. Just that people were very upset when it was canceled. But whoever the main character is, he's gorgeous. And so the whole trailer is just him coming out of a pool very slowly.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, okay, Satan.
Yes, today.
Maybe.
Maybe today.
I was
On second thought.
No, don't fool yourself. I don't know what that show is about at all.
The internet loves a hot Antichrist.
Yes.
So.
The real point.
Yes. It's really pretty where we are right now. We're in this hotel in Marina Del Rey, and we're on the top floor of this hotel, looking out. We can see beach and mountains, and it's really nice.
It's very pretty.
There's no point. It's just really nice. So if my eye line is distractedly off above you, that's why I'm just staring out the window.
We had a good weekend though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nicole has been coming to Coachella since she was
15. It was my 15th birthday present. So my birthday is also in April. So it was, yes, I had just turned 15 in 2003 when I started coming to this festival. So I don't know. Now I just do it.
It's tradition. Her family got involved. Your family comes pretty much every year.
Yeah,
now.
They all talk about the first year, which was their first time they all came was 2010, I think. And they're like, oh yeah, the first year. No. I like to think of 2010 as Coachella : family invasion.
And then this was my 7th, so I can't do math, but I started coming in
2013, 13, 14. I think I realized later that I counted something wrong. Maybe it was either you or me.
I thought it was 6.
You.
Yeah.
Wait. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. This was your 7th.
So I don't even remember really the sequence of events, but we had been friends for a couple years. SnarkSquad was already up. And she was like, hey, want to come to Coachella? And I was like, okay.
Yep.
Accurate representation.
Well, when I asked you, I was still living in LA too, and so the plan was you could come and we'll hang out in LA. But then I left before. So
I remember explaining that to my mom, I'm gonna go visit Nicole in LA, and she's like, "Oh, is that where she lives?" And I was like, "No, no, where she lives.
No." So it's fine.
Yeah, it's been really wild doing this now, traditionally year over year, and measuring how old I've gotten by the time that lapses in between Coachella festivals. So that's been fun. Not actually fun. Everything hurts.
I say fun, I mean depressing and like a
Awful.
constant reminder of my mortality.
Exactly.
Yeah, love that.
But this weekend was good. We did pretty good.
We
were
did good.
chill.
We made good choices.
We hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
We had so much coffee, which defeats the hydration, but we hydrated more.
Yes. We had a good schedule of hydration and caffeination.
We saw Lizzo.
She
was fantastic. Janelle
Yes.
Monáe.
Fantastic.
Blackpink.
Amazing. So good.
She made us go watch Blackpink.
Yes.
And I was like,
Everyone was like, I don't know, like we'll go like for like a song. And I was like, no, we're going to Blackpink.
And it was phenomenal. Absolutely amazing.
Yes.
You're
welcome.
Yes.
My 17-year-old cousin was with us, and so that was very fun. Also, one because like another reminder that we're old now, but also it was just like it was delightful to have this youthful presence as part of our festival experience. So that was very, very nice and pure and good. Dancing, the thing that I didn't know that the thing I most needed in the world was to dance around to Ariana Grande for 2 hours with my 17-year-old cousin, but like, wow. My soul feels like healed.
Yeah. I was sitting on the floor. I am a couple years older than Nicole. So you were youthfully dancing around. I was seated at that point.
So, yeah. We didn't really plan this very. We don't have
just tweeting.
We don't have like things to do. Also, we keep talking about Coachella mostly because our brains are fried from spending the weekend in the sun and mostly in the dust. Like the weather app kept being like, air quality is poor. And we're like, oh yeah?
No kidding.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm like base now to my coughs.
Yes.
Desert lung.
The shuttle the last night, shuttle back to the hotel on the last night was like the whole bus. Everyone was coughing. That's what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Tweeted.
How hyped are you for Endgame? Super hyped or really super hyped?
I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole internet is talking about how we get next weekend Endgame and the Battle at Winterfell in 1 weekend. Like people are taking Monday off.
I literally was just about to say, I was like, so many people are going to be really sick on Monday.
Okay, no, Sam, who is on the Thoughts on Tomes, who's on our podcast a lot, she has already taken the Monday off.
Oh my God.
She took it off. She was like, I
Bless
can't.
her.
I'm sad. I told Nicole this too. Like, I'm like sad about the ending of Game of Thrones and the ending of like this Marvel run of movies and then like the whole Star Wars things for people who care about that, which I care very little. But the idea of like all of these big franchises like reaching this kind of end, which not to say that they won't come up with something new, but there's something about this cultural moment that is a little like sad. I think. In like a good way and like a satisfying, we're getting things we love, but I don't know, man. I got feels.
Yeah, like being able to participate in all of those things real time, and like be part of these larger cultural conversations and having these baseline things that really are like inescapable cultural conversations, and so being able to be part of them while they're happening is really, really cool and exciting. And there's a little bit of a sense of void. Surely something else will like happen, you know, and like fill those spaces, but there is part of the journey is the end.
Whatever, I'm sad.
Yeah, but like there is there's like a sadness around the idea of this big thing ending.
Mm-hmm. I think also, I mean, I don't know, it's heightened because we have a lot of feelings, as we discussed, but also you're making content around it, so you're investing all these more hours into this thing. Like, every Game of Thrones recap takes, like, baseline 3 hours to write, and that's generous.
Yeah, no.
And probably
that's
more like
4 or 5.
4 or 5. Sometimes they, like, last episodes or pilots have
Battle of
taken
Winterfell is probably going to be like a
6-hour recap. Yeah. So it's like hours.
Are you going to do
Oh shit, that's me. I did not think about that.
Bikes on bikes.
Yeah, so it's gonna take me 6 hours to recap the Battle of Winterfell. But yeah, all of that, like, hours of content creation with the MCU. Obviously, we watched all of that and did the podcast episodes.
Right.
So there's like an extra sense of like a thing coming to an end when you're creating content around it. That is like a little sad.
Yes. I think about that. Yeah, even like when we finished the Buffy recaps.
Yes.
Like that was
I was
also
so ready to be done.
Right. But it was still like there was a lot of like feelings around it. And that's not like that we had missed the actual cultural moment.
Right.
But we just like made a new one for ourselves.
Yeah.
But then it came to an end. So yes, I totally agree. Like there's a level of because these are things we're engaging with. Like Game of Thrones and the MCU specifically, we are actively engaging with those franchises in a way that makes the end of that, like, it's not just the end of these stories, it's like the end of this fandom experience that I think, that makes it
at least in like
wistful.
this super active way. Like fandoms will live on and you can still make content, or whatnot. But
Yes.
There is something wistful about it.
But like in the moment, active fandom experience.
We were talking about across this weekend, we both get notifications for comments on the blog, and we got a number of after ones. So I was checking in with, like, we were just talking about the whole experience of me recapping after and whether that's better or worse than 50 Shades and Twilight. And you mentioned that, like, at this point, so far removed from like recapping 50 Shades, like you've purged that, like, kind of thing, like
from my brand. From my brand. That, like,
right.
I finally reached a place where like the jokes about the things that people will like if they see a tweet and then like they'll tag you in the replies of that tweet, like that being your brand. And I have now reached a point where those things that I get, like where people like randomly tag me in other people's tweets, it's stuff that I like. It's not stuff that I hate, like 50 Shades, which it was for me for a really long time, but then it stopped. But
no, and mine is still one of, like, people. If people see anything about E.L. James, 50 Shades, Twilight, or After, I'm getting ats. Like, and that sounds complaining. It's not complaining. In a way that, like, people, associate you with this thing.
Yes.
That, like, that is still persistent. Yeah, that is still my brand in a way that you've cleansed it. But the thing is that even with something like 50 Shades, which I did not like or enjoy at all, it's part of how we built our audience on SnarkSquad.
Yeah.
So even when that came to an end, I was a little like, I don't want to be reading this at all anymore. But like, like, you guys, the comments.
That was super interactive too in the comments. Like there was so much happening in the comments of that it was a whole big project in that way that made it sad to say goodbye to.
It's such a weird thing to have so much knowledge about too, because somebody will be like, the 50 Shades, am I right? And I'm like, listen, you have no idea.
You don't want to go down that road with me. You don't want to say those words around me.
This weekend there was that whole 400-part like tweet thread about the Mueller report that a journalist had, and some people were like, what could you do? Seth Abramson had online, and like, what could you do a 400-part tweet thread about? And I didn't even have to think about it very hard. I was like, 50 Shades of Grey or Twilight. I could do 400 tweets right now because I've done more.
When do you think the after recaps will be finished?
Oh, Jesus Christ. We only have like 6 mini chapters left, I think. I think it's something like 90 something chapters, and we're on like the late 80s. Sam, who is doing recapping with me, has her next 2 chapters already written. So if I get on my shit, and I want to do it soon because we have the next book that we're going to recap like picked out. So I don't know, a few weeks.
Yep.
We're doing our best. Happy birthday, SnarkSquad.
Yep. Yep.
It's taken a long. We knew it would take a long time to do it, and we're doing 2 chapters at a time. But there were a lot of breaks in there.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I was trying to explain it to Nicole why this is like weirder than like 50 Shades. Twilight had like the paranormal aspect of it, where it's like vampires. Oh, it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
And then even like 50 Shades had almost like that, like Playboy billionaire. Like it wasn't as accessible as like these 2 kids in college being really gross, and like the abuse and the manipulation in that relationship is like more accessible almost. Yeah. It's very, very weird. And so there's much more of a reaction for me of like, I don't want to read that right now. And so it's been tougher to recap, just apart from like scheduling things and being busy, like just reading it at all.
Because so the thing is, to like elaborate on that, the thing with 50 Shades is that even when it like stopped being Twilight fan fiction, when they converted it into a thing that D.L. James could publish without getting sued, like what you still have, like it's bad for all the reasons that it's bad, but what you still have is the like billionaire fantasy, like that fantasy is still there, like the BDSM, like all of that stuff. Even though it's bad, like you still understand on some level, like what's going on there in a way that once you take away the One Direction component, you have
2 kids in college just being the worst. Just 2 kids in college being the absolute worst as individuals, and then the worst as a relationship. It's like really difficult to read. So yeah, hopefully that will be over soon. And there's 3 other books in that series. I think it's 4 total. And she might have written another series, or there's like other things by like in other point of views. I don't know. She's prolific. I don't know what to tell you. But I have like no desire to. Whereas 50 Shades, we were like, yeah, whatever, let's do the next one.
Right.
This one I'm like, no. Like maybe I'll forget in a couple of years and be like, why didn't we do the next one? But for now,
no. Big no.
Big no energy.
Yes.
That's all you got.
Yeah, I have nothing to add on that. I haven't been reading after.
I know.
I didn't participate in what was the 50 Shades one, the Christian Grey one.
You didn't do that.
No, I didn't do his one.
Who did it with me?
I don't know. It wasn't me.
Darker? No. Shit. Gray?
Oh, bye, Nick.
Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, that one was also bad.
Yeah.
It was mostly the worst because it was like the same bad. It was the same book.
Right.
I was like, I literally have already made this joke. Because I made it the first time. And this is the same book.
Was being in his head better or worse than being in Anna's head? I'm forcing you to make one of them better.
Okay, better is a strong word.
Yeah,
The thing is that you come into Gray's point of view knowing who he is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there was nothing there that was particularly surprising. You got a lot of confirmation of like, he did, like she rides on a plane first, for one time, and she's in first class and nobody's sitting next to her. And she's like, oh, that's weird. And she like wonders like, I wonder if Christian did that on purpose. And then you're like, fuck yeah, he did because he's the worst.
Yes.
Then you read Gray and you get confirmation of what we already knew, that he bought the ticket next to her so that nobody would like ride on the plane next to her.
That's also like not how that works. If that seat isn't occupied, like they will give that seat up. That's not. Like,
I'm sorry. He's Christian Grey.
That's not how that works.
He makes the rules.
The airline will happily give away this unoccupied seat.
Not if he's Christian Grey. So things like that where I'm like, that's awful. But also I knew this about you. Whereas with Anna, is just you are almost blindsided with how, as an individual, she is also the worst.
Right.
She sucks as a friend, as a worker, as a daughter. She's just like a sucky person overall. And I think that was more surprising, and because it was more surprising, it was worse.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it was worse, but it's worse partially because you read it first.
Yes.
Got it.
Right.
Yes.
Had I just been introduced to Gray with his point of view.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
There's an experiment.
Yeah. No. I don't know who you would get to do that experiment, but
I'm happy we're getting people through long flights. Yes. That's what we're here for. I remember recapping, like working on 50 Shades recaps on airplanes. That was always an experience that I had on multiple, pretty much like during the time that we were doing 50 Shades, anytime I was flying somewhere, I was working on a recap on the plane.
We have multiple tags on the blog about blogging on mass transit, like of some sort, like even Sam from a train, you from a plane. Yes.
Don't mind me. Yep. This is like, or like being in a middle seat on a plane, like working on a 50 Shades recap. Like, yep, that's right. This is
then
porn.
He put the in the what?
Hello, my seat neighbors who are all like, you're like right here.
Yeah.
There's no way you don't see
that I just wrote anal plug on this recap.
I hope you're having a great flight.
Because I'm not.
Yes.
Nope. Somebody said congrats, but I want questions. Congrats is good too.
Yes.
We a lot of times get like very differing reactions. Somebody just said, I need you guys to review my novels. I have friends who are working on novels who they will most of them are like, no money, don't read my book. Lainey is one that I'm like, Lainey, you've been working on this novel forever, please. And she's like, no, absolutely not. And then there are people like, you need to read my novel, but I don't know, it's different, I think. When you constructively criticizing something,
right? Yes.
Versus what we do, which is like, hey, this is a popular thing,
right?
That I'm going to snark. That's way different. I would never do that to a friend.
Yes. Or even just like in general, when something there's a very we got a lot of suggestions too about like weird romance novels that people saw on Amazon, you know, for like $1, like the things that would be like fun or funny to do in the way that we were doing the 50 Shades recaps, and like that's inherently so different because it doesn't exist in a larger cultural conversation in the same way, and so like part of what was so infuriating about 50 Shades is that like it's bad. And also it's really toxic, and you know that tons and tons and tons of people are reading this thing that's like bad and toxic, as opposed to this thing that's like maybe also bad and toxic, but that like nobody else is reading and we're just like talking about it. Is I don't know, like it's not the same thing.
I don't think so either. And I think it's the thing about like 50 Shades, or well, starting with Twilight, was bad and toxic, but it like spirals. It produced 50 Shades, which produced After. Like it's something that keeps going. So talking about it, like you said, in a larger like cultural context is different than like, here's this thing that I found that is probably more a product of these things we're already talking about than anything in and of itself. So.
Right.
Another After question: do you think you'll recap the movie? So, when 50 Shades came out, I went to see it in theater, and I just did like a quick post, or like I took notes, or live tweeted it, or something like that. I'm not sure about the After movie. I feel like I need to know the end of the After book before I make that commitment. But I would be most curious to see how it is adapted from the books to the movie. That's like my curiosity, because I feel like with these trash things, the movies are always better.
Yeah.
They're still trash, but they're always better.
Yes.
And the writers seem to make better decisions about actually having a plot in the movie and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be curious to see like the adaptation things of it, but we're building towards something at the end of the after book, and I need to know what that is before I commit to saying that I'm going to watch this on screen.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. Yeah.
We love you. Sam was just saying hi, friends. So Sam, we've already mentioned you actually on this live.
That's true.
Live thing. So.
We've already been here in spirit.
In spirit. Love you. I would admit to reading all the soccer moms did. Everybody read.
Everyone
50,
read. Yes.
Everybody read 50 Shades.
Right, and like, yeah, that was like the thing that was so frustrating about it is, again, like back to these larger cultural conversations, is that like there's a lot there that like the waters get really muddy when you're talking about, like, on the one hand, the writing is very bad, and there is a ton of like abuse and like really bad stuff in there, but also at the same time, like the idea of like kinks and like sexual fantasies and stuff, and like creating a space for women to feel comfortable talking about like sexual fantasies, all of that is good. Like that is ostensibly like very good. And like trying to find a way to pick apart, like for the most part, I think we did a pretty good job of like trying to like pick apart those pieces of it. But it is something that is like really, really frustrating. But it's very frustrating because these things are garbage and like whatever, but also it's why these things are worth talking about.
Right.
Because there is this like larger sort of cultural conversation baked into, it's not just like, LOL, this thing is bad. It's like, okay, but there's like stuff to talk about here.
Right. And I think that, traffic noises. I think that for myself, like reading through 50 Shades or whatever and trying to find the lines between like the things of like, okay, this is bad, this is a bad relationship, or this is kink and this should have like a place to exist or whatever. Like,
right.
Interrogating helps you find that language to just like, describe these things, but also just like interrogating that work has also made me a more critical consumer of things. Like I learned so much picking that apart that like applies now across my media.
Yes.
And so giving people the ability to do that along with us because it was a very popular work and people were reading it and then could use those recaps as a baseline. Like that expands not only into other works like 50 Shades, but just kind of giving people language to be more critical consumers of whatever that they're viewing or reading or whatnot. So,
right.
Yeah. And I mean, that was probably the best part, is that people did have context for what we were talking about, right? People were reading along with us, or they had read it and were coming back now to like, a lot of it was like, I searched on Google, like, is anybody else seeing this? Basically, like, is it just, and did anybody talk about how trash this is? And like finding that we were talking about how trash it was. So
hello, welcome. Yes.
What has been your favorite thing to discuss on the podcast specifically?
Ooh,
that's a good one.
I mean, this is like a cheap answer, but my favorite thing was definitely the Golden Compass. And I think, but not, and like not just because, like, obviously, like I love the book. It's like there's like my personal attachment to the thing. But the other part of why that was my favorite thing is that more so than anything else, like there's a level of just background, both because we had already read the thing and because we did it as a book club thing. So we spent a whole month, in addition to our previous experiences with the books, we spent a whole month talking to other people as they were reading it for the first time. And so by the time we got to have that conversation, it felt like there was just, I don't know, there was just so much to sift through there that made it really fun. On the other hand, like that's not to say that I don't think that there's value in doing the thing that we usually do, which is like immediately finishing the thing and then using the conversation as how we figure out our feelings about it. Yeah. Like I think that's also really cool and fun. But it was, I think because it's not something that we do that often, it made it really cool to get to have a slightly more a deep deep cut conversation.
There are definitely like conversations that stick out because they happen that way, where I started an episode and like, I don't know how I feel about this, like, or like vague feelings like Annihilation,
yeah,
always sticks out in my head. Is like, we started and we were like kind of fumbling around to that whole thing, but by the time we got to the end, I had such a clear view of how I felt about the work, of like everything. So that those kinds of ones stand out in my head, but it's hard not to give like all of my feelings to the Pride and Prejudice episode again, because it's like my big time fave, long time fave. We did it live. It was our first live episode. We did it at BookNet Fest. It was like tick 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 of like all of my favorite things, like, and in my feelings. And I think we just had a really good conversation. We had a good like balance of opinions. We talked a little bit about the adaptations, the work itself, and what makes it last, and all of that. I could probably talk about it in a whole other episode, but it was a pretty good, like, well-rounded conversation. So
yes. Yeah, the Annihilation one is like that is definitely strong. I ended up buying the movie rather than renting it because the price difference was like so narrow. So I was like, okay, like literally if I watch this movie one more time, it'll have ended up like being worth it. Which I did this before, knowing how I was going to feel about it. But because that conversation was so, I don't know, like I had so much fun talking to you guys about it and like speculating and guessing and stuff. Like, so that going back to watch the movie was really fun. Because I could go in then like with the experience of that conversation, and that was great, and I loved it.
I'm like scrolling through all of our episodes. We were talking about the Game of Thrones episodes because I described it as kind of like Stockholm syndrome, in that I enjoyed reading them, but I really loved our conversations. And it was such a mixed experience, but I want to read those books again. And it's so wild to my brain that it's like, girl, you didn't even like it that much. Right. But my brain is like,
so many hours.
It took so many hours.
That last book, the audiobook is 50 fucking hours long.
Yes, yeah. But my brain wants to do it again. And I think part of it is because those episodes were enjoyable.
Yes, because I had so much fun talking to Sam about it and hearing her,
yes,
again, like deep cut theories, like somebody who had spent so much time thinking about these books and was ready. Like, guys, so let me share like this crackpot theory.
Once per episode, she would say like, "Did you guys notice, or did you?" And we're like, "No, Sam, we did not." Like,
this is our first time reading it. This is like
at 3 speed. But I had so much fun, and it's such a like vast world that like going back is like something I've been thinking about a lot. So
yes. Session out, the show is almost over. I'm like, well,
what am I supposed to do?
What am I gonna do? There's not have sunset in my life. No.
They're working on like a prequel thing, right? Yeah. I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm there to watch it. Yeah. So. Oh goodness.
Your brain wants to do it again because that's your brand. Even your trust, your nature. It's true.
I want to read 50 Shades again. But yes, reading a thing again. I don't like the most. It's really a thing of like absorbing as much information as possible. Is like rereading. I don't know. There's something about like, but I could read it again.
Yeah.
Know even more, or like notice even more. That my brain is like, we love that for us. Do it. What do you see for the future of SnarkSquad? Hopes and dreams. Future of SnarkSquad? Hopes and dreams? I mean, we're working on shit. We always like make comments about like time and money. Like if we had more time, what could we do? Or
if one of us wins the lottery.
Right. And we can pay the other salary to do this full time.
What would that look like?
Well, it would look like amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's definitely things that we would like to do. Full-time jobs and stuff that pays our bills. for how we're operating now.
Should we say the thing?
Should we?
There's a thing. So
we always use this time to announce something.
Yeah, that's our birthday. It's tradition. Okay, so there's two things that we are gonna do. These aren't really like big like hopes and dreams. They're just like, I don't know. This shit we're gonna do.
We're doing it.
We're gonna do. One of them is you already sort of alluded to this, but the next book that we're gonna recap.
Yes. Is The Mister by E.L. James. I'm Brand Sam. We're going back.
You know, just
I mean, it's out. It's E.L. James. We again invested so much time doing her first series, and like that kind of got SnarkSquad started in the early things. I literally asked everybody who recaps for us, like, anybody want to do this with me? And they were like crickets. And then like a couple weeks later, Nicole was like, I'll do it.
Yeah, partially because those 50 Shades recaps did not take as long as like a TV episode. Like, I mean, like it's like soul sucking to read it,
but like for such a shorter amount of time.
It's like a half hour to an hour of sadness, and then like you're done.
Fine,
and like alternating weekly, like that's
easy.
Fine.
Yeah.
It's
so ripe. I mean, like the jokes write themselves.
The Mister is the name of the book.
It's E.L. James's latest release.
Yes. Yeah. We're great at talking.
So fried. So much desert in my lungs.
And like in my brain.
So yeah, we're gonna do that thing. Hopefully in the next, I don't know. We have to finish after, and then we will move on to this. And then the second thing
is another podcast. We are gonna do it'll be every other week, not weekly, because we're still doing SnarkSquad Pod and time. And time is a factor. But this will have an established stable of people instead of rotating guests, or 4 of us. So we've asked our friends Sari and Matt to join us as we watch every Disney Channel original movie in a bi-weekly podcast. We are very excited about it.
I'm so excited. We've been talking about this for so long.
Yes, it's true. We had this idea like a year ago, and then when the Disney Plus announcement happened, we were like, we gotta fucking do this now. Like, we have to do this now, or else someone's gonna beat us to it. This idea that we've been sitting on forever. This is actually I have a very old email. We talked about, like, long before SnarkSquad Pod, we talked about doing a Buffy the Vampire Slayer recap podcast. So we did finish recapping the show, and then it'd been a few months of like not watching it. We were like, okay, well, what else do we do with Buffy? What if we went back and did it again, but this time as a podcast? And then like we didn't do it. And then like
these podcasts just start. I mean, there are like a couple really popular podcasts about Buffy, and I mean, those people are very talented. I'm not saying we would have reached this thing.
Yes.
But the thing that we had this idea so much before, and we didn't do anything with it, and we were just like.
Yes. So the second the Disney Plus, like I saw a bunch of people on Twitter being like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to watch all the Disney Channel original movies."
We're like, "Fuck, we gotta go! Hit record right now."
We're doing it.
So we're doing it.
So like we just started like, rallying everybody together for it. That probably won't be a thing until like July, is when I think it'll actually launch. But that's a thing that we're working on.
I mean, so like hopes and dreams for SnarkSquad is like to continue just doing this thing forever. I don't know. And getting wild. I get the most enjoyment out of creating things, like new ideas. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited for this. So any and all like making new things and like being very excited to put things together is like amazing. So yeah, I'm super excited to watch a bunch of Disney Channel original movies.
It's great too because so Matt is like same boat as us, like die hard. Matt is probably like the most like into Disney, probably of the four of us. And then Sari looked at the list and was like, I've never seen any of these movies.
Yeah. She's younger than we are, for sure. So I think that
I just can't wait. I'm so excited.
it's going to be interesting to see, too. I think I'm the oldest of the three.
Yes.
To see, I was even like going through the list and seeing like when I started watching, and that was probably way before you guys started watching. But I gave up like probably even before like High School Musical. Like I've never seen any of that, which was
I was still watching that. I'm sure Matt was still watching that.
Yes. Matt's watching now. So like seeing the overlap of like, you know, what movies we actually all saw, and then Sari being like, no,
none of them.
None of them. And, like,
this activates no nostalgia feelings for me whatsoever.
It does not spark joy. I'm so excited.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the exciting thing that we're doing.
Yeah. But thanks for asking about our hopes and dreams.
Who's your friend?
True friend. Number one is win the lotto. Beyond
Always.
that,
Oh man, that's the real dream. The real dream. Win the lottery.
uh-huh.
I just like want to pay down my student loans.
Yes.
That's like it. That was what was the unicorn store. Is that this week? That's this week.
Oh yeah.
We make a joke about this tomorrow's podcast, or Wednesday? Today's Monday.
Wednesdays.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
This happens to me a lot. We record a little bit in advance, all of our episodes, so I'm always like, oh, this joke. You guys haven't heard yet.
Cool. Great.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really like
the high.
Just bombed out at that.
I have been literally walking around occasionally singing, let's watch a Disney Channel movie.
Okay, occasionally.
A lot?
Like a lot. Like a lot. All weekend. Every hour.
Oh, come on. I peppered it in with Blackpink and whatever. So we are also hype. And hopefully you guys are hype. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been about an hour.
We did a thing.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah. I mean, we spent 5 minutes of that kind of getting our shit together. We spent the last 5 giggling. I think that's a good balance.
That's fine. The during Lizzo's set this weekend, I'm like pretty confident her set was truncated by at least a full song, based on the fact that we just like the audience just cheered so much between every song. Like she finished Lizzo, Lizzo,
and she's just up there like absorbing it. Her skin was like,
yes, correct.
Yes, and our thing is truncated by giggles.
Yes,
almost the same thing.
It's the same.
Snark.
So basically, we're Lizzo. Wow. Good night, Sam.
Bye. Oh, I
Thank
forget.
you.
It's like
It's late for some people.
yes.
Sorry.
Happy birthday, Snark Squad.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
We're doing.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking around and I don't know, reading our stuff,
and listening to the podcast and watching videos when we decided to do those.
Oh man.
Yeah, following us on Twitter and being engaged and commenting and adding us in 50 Shades News and all of the ways that you guys engage. It's been great. 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
I know. Wild. Who knew?
What is a second grader?
Sure. Learning math.
Yeah. Great. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.